I have one closet full of jerseys, but I had to separate them. These are basketball jerseys. I don't know how I got Tim Duncan's Western All-Star jersey, but I'm not going to give it back. Eastern Kentucky, where I went to college, but that's not my jersey. My wife threw it away. I love this one. Western All-Stars, they gave me number 44 for Jerry West. Arizona gave me this. What else do I have here? I got a few Nebraska jerseys. There's a University of Dayton one. Harlem Globetrotters gave me a jersey. The Bobcats. Oh, Bobcats gave me a jersey. Mad Ants, Lipscomb. This was one of my favorites. Bill Walton, UCLA, sent me that. Don't ask me why I have a Brad Lohaus jersey, Milwaukee Bucks, but I do. Terry Cummings, Milwaukee Bucks jersey. Hornets. Derrick Rose jersey. Another Nebraska jersey. A Fab 5 jersey. That was the All-Star game in New York. They sent me a jersey. Ooh, there you go. Badass Iverson. Nobody has a Tim Kempton Cleveland Cavaliers jersey. Even Tim Kempton. Greek Freak. Another West All-Stars with my name on it. Orlando. A Dwight Howard jersey. Another Dayton jersey. Utah Jazz. Love the Timberwolves. Karl Anthony Towns. Sabrina Ionescu at Oregon. 15. Got a few Golden State jerseys. People don't like the sleeves. I do. When you don't have arms, you like those. I have to go work now. If you use primetime games as a barometer, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the team to watch in 2020. Scheduled to play in primetime 5 times. That's the most you can be scheduled to play is 5 games. That's what happens when you sign Tom Brady. Now, the Patriots also have 5 primetime games this year. I'm really curious as to why. What are you tuning in to see if you're tuning in to the New England Patriots this year? Jarrett Stidham? Brian Hoyer? And even though they're not in the same conference, the Bucs and Patriots will be intertwined all season long because their success will be viewed as a referendum on Brady and the Patriots, Belichick and the Patriots. How well do they do without one another? Both teams have tough road games ahead. And based off last season, Patriots have the toughest strength of schedule in the league. Brady plays in a tougher division. He's going to be seeing the Saints a couple of times. Falcons, I think, will be better than advertised. You never know how things are going to play out. Both the Bucs and Patriots might need some time to get their acts together. They don't get that time. Certainly with Tom Brady, Tampa Bay right out of the gate against the New Orleans Saints. But the networks are all in on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Buccaneers have had 4 primetime games. That's either Sunday or Monday in the last 5 years combined. This year alone, they have 5 such games. If they could have done more, they would have done more with Brady. Also, Tom Brady has been favored in 74 consecutive regular season starts. That's the longest streak by any starting quarterback since 1966. Brady and Tampa Bay open the season as 6.5-point underdogs on the road against the New Orleans Saints. Let the drama begin. Who should be madder they weren't on the dream team, you or Isaiah?
Isaiah, because I think he definitely should have been on that team.
But Leitner was chosen over you, right?
Yeah, but the way he was used, I wouldn't have been happy with that.
What do you mean?
I wouldn't have been happy with just sitting the bench and getting in 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know if you're watching the Jordan documentary. We had Patrick Ewing on and Reggie Miller, and they said, this isn't any fun for us. It's fun for you guys to watch it, but is there any enjoyment watching this?
I think it just solidifies the argument about who's the best player ever. You know, I think the fair thing to say is we should probably break it down to eras on who was the best player ever. But Michael Jordan, by far, stuff that he's done, I don't see anybody being close to that. You know, he's a 10. There's a lot of 7s and 8s out there, but there's no 9s or 10s. And he's just, I actually got to watch. I actually got to see the end of it personally. I won a lot of money by asking people who was the last team to beat him in the playoff situation. A lot of people forget what we did in 94, 95, but their comeback is, he wasn't ready. He wore number 45. That wasn't the real Mike, but I'm enjoying it because it just brings back flashbacks and also, especially when they were battling Detroit, it just made me remember how physical the game was, and that's the game I like to play. This game I'm watching now, yeah.
How many would Mike average with today's rules? Mike at his peak, let's say Mike 1991, 92. How many points?
45.
45?
Easily.
But what would you average today?
51.
And, of course, the Lakers with you and Kobe would beat Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, right?
Yes. Of course.
All right, McLovin.
Dan, I stayed up all night watching the interminable NFL Network and ESPN shows, and I looked at the schedules. There's one team who would be wise to tank this year.
Wise to tank?
Yes.
Do they have a quarterback that you would consider a quality quarterback?
More of a question mark.
A question mark. Fritzy, you start. I'm going to go last.
Oh, man.
Oh, you're never ready.
I'm ready.
There's 32.
I don't know. Could I go last?
No, you can't go at all. Seton O'Connor.
The Packers?
Ooh. Interesting. They can't tank for a quarterback, though, Seton. They just
that's
two.
Yeah, no, that's why you're saying you're like it's an interesting pick, like one you wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
So I tried to go with what was the most non-obvious one, which would be the Packers.
I knew this was going to go wrong. Paulie?
I think McLovin's going to pick, and I think he's right, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Ooh.
Wow.
Okay, so the Raiders, Seton had the Packers. Fritzy doesn't get to play. NFC, AFC?
AFC.
AFC. Now, Jacksonville's not a surprise team to tank.
Nope.
The New England Patriots.
You are correct,
Yeah.
Mr. Dan Patrick.
Wait, what, Seton? It's a surprise.
I've been saying that to Andrew for like 3 months.
Well, why didn't you say it now? You
You're right. It was surprising that he took the one that I've been talking to him about for months now.
You took the Packers, who are not going to be tanking. Yes,
Well,
McLovin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lock and step here with Seton. The Patriots, I mean, think about this. If he can lose like his first 6 games and the season gets canceled, he gets the first pick and he never has to like disrupt the Super Bowl train. I think Belichick's playing next level chess this year. Next level. Maybe not, but it does seem to work out. This is, if you ever want to tank, it's a year with no fans and possible disruption of the Super Bowl. This is the ultimate year to tank.
And maybe Belichick doesn't care about this because he made a business decision by saying that they were moving on from Brady. Brady, it's personal. If Belichick didn't win or they went 7-9 or 6-10, okay, he looks at it as a business. Brady can't go 6-10, 7-9. You know, his ego is here. His reputation, not his legacy, but his reputation for being a great quarterback. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. Legacy firmly cemented, even if he goes 6-10. But I think this is really important. This is more important to Brady than it is to Belichick. If I said, give me 2 teams that are going to surprise being better, 2 teams that will surprise by being worse than what we think, who would you pick?
All right, let's go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Mike Tomlin's got it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And that team's going to be better than we think. I think Big Ben coming back from the elbow surgery They're going to be good. They're going to make the playoffs in Pittsburgh. They have Minka Fitzpatrick, who, in my view, Defensive Player of the Year candidate without a doubt.
Okay.
So they're going to be better for sure. I think the Jets are going to be better than we think. I think the Jets are a team that could put it all together very quickly under Sam Darnold and with Adam Gase. I think they have no choice, but I think they'll be better than we think in the AFC. I think worse than we think. Wow, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Arizona Cardinals will get worse before they will get better. I think it's going to be tough for them to get better, and I think people wanted to see them get better instantly, but I think they'll be worse. I think the Houston Texans will take a step back.
Are you bullish on the Cowboys this year?
Everything that they do, Dan, is based on intricate chemistry on their offensive line. And they're going to have a few pieces, that they're going to have to move around. And it's very difficult always in NFL training camps, especially now this year, because you're not going to be able to practice as much. We don't know how or when they're going to get on the football field in the summer. The Cowboys' offensive line drives that football team. And if they don't have their act together, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I'm just curious about it because it feels like they have, I don't know if they really address their defense, but it feels like, and it's a copycat league. I don't know if we're looking at trying to copycat Kansas City or the Ravens. Do you think those are the two teams that we're trying to look at and go, we either have a track team or we have a quarterback who's able to beat you with his arm and legs?
Well, I think Dak Prescott is more like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes than Andy Dalton. That's for sure. I think Andy Dalton is more built to do what Mike McCarthy wants as opposed to what Dak Prescott wants to do. So, we're playing option football in the National Football League. Yeah. That's why the Eagles draft Jalen Hurts. We're playing option football. The quarterback has to be able to throw on the run and run. That's the way it's working out. Patrick Mahomes II, and I like to say Patrick Mahomes II because that's his actual name, and he also happens to be twice as good as everybody else on the football field. I watched him late in the season with those 3 comeback wins. He basically won a Super Bowl for Andy Reid. You and I can agree on that. Reid didn't win the Super Bowl. Mahomes won the Super Bowl. Mahomes won it because there were instances where he was able to improvise in the second half, and the defenses he was playing were static and couldn't improvise with him. That, to me, is what it's all about in the National Football League. But the difference between Mahomes and Jackson is Mahomes right now is a much more accomplished passer. When Jackson gets there, Jackson will be as good as Mahomes. Deshaun Watson's already there. And that's, to me, is why I don't understand why you trade DeAndre Hopkins. I think you give him all the money that he needs because, to me, Watson's already there. But without Hopkins, he's going to take a step back.
Here's something for you. If you get to do one thing for your wife on Mother's Day, flowers, a present, card with a note, or make dinner, you got to pick one of those. Todd, you got one.
My wife says she never wants stuff or bracelets, necklaces.
Don't
flowers.
fall for that.
Well, I did, unfortunately, but she has made it very clear on more than one occasion that she'd like me to make dinner once in a while because it's a big deal just when I put the plates and napkins.
But you haven't made dinner, so when you say once in a while, she's saying once.
I think even if I made some kind of effort and I was boiling pasta or just something that resembled something edible, I think she'd appreciate the effort in trying to make dinner versus just going out and buying stuff.
But just Google, and it'll give you the ingredients. Have your son and daughter go out and surprise her and make a meal. If your wife says she wants that, why wouldn't you give your wife that?
Who wouldn't want to, make
you
happy? Or go to Landon Donovan's last soccer game?
You. and when a woman says she does, hey, I don't want anything, they do.
They do.
Yeah, it's not like they're gonna go, take that back. I told you. They're gonna go, oh, you shouldn't have. All right. Yes, McLevin.
First of all, brag, I make dinner 7 nights a week, for real. But my wife wants one thing, 3 hours alone. And we've been in a 2-bedroom apartment for 7 weeks, and I don't quite know how to do it. But when you have young kids, And you want alone time, right? I think that's the best
Yeah.
present in a way.
Yeah. It is true when you have, we have 4 kids, but there were times when my wife would just say, "Can you take them for an hour? Just take them for an hour." And it would be total chaos by the time she got back. Like there'd be diapers on the floor. Like it would be disaster. But you had to be a good soldier. And you'd be like, all right, yeah, I could do this. Yeah, this isn't a big deal. And then you realize it really is a big. I mean, there's a reason why we don't have kids. We couldn't do it. We couldn't. Seat no counter.
So my wife, she's good with me doing stuff on the grill, but she's like, nah, don't worry about it. Don't cook. She's like, I got it. Don't worry about it.
My wife lies to me about how good I'm cooking. She's very deceptive.
Yeah, well, and she's really good. She makes really delicious food. So why do I need to hey, let me help out and cook a terrible meal for us one night a week?
No, she'll lie to
that's
me.
all right.
She'll say, because I don't want to cook. I want to be great at everything, and then I know I'm not going to be great when I cook, and so she'll go, "No, it's really good. No, I'm serious. It's really good." And I go, "No, you're not going to fool me. You're going to, hey, why don't you make dinner again tomorrow night? You did a really good job with, that pesto." Yes, Paulie.
Flowers are overrated. Present is kind of important. A card with a note is almost mandatory because if you get the present without the card, you haven't completed the act. You haven't completed the process. My wife said if she could take a nap on Sunday and when she wakes up, there's a glass of wine and dinner being made for her. And when it's over, she doesn't have to lift a finger. That would be fine. And that's what I'm going to do. But that's the move.
That sounds good. I think the handwritten note is really sneaky good. Because if you're writing, you don't use the card. I used to use the card and I just signed my name. And you realize that there's nothing personal about
and
that.
You being famous would sign "Best wishes, Dan Patrick."
Yes, I would. And sometimes I'd get a headshot in there that I give a picture of her.
Here, I got you my autograph.
Yeah, I got you an autograph, hon. Stop complaining. All right, I'll get you a T-shirt. All right, whatever. But yeah, you have that handwritten note. Very, very important, guys. Handwritten note.
Ears. Thank you.
Yeah, you got me a Tampa Bay T-shirt.
Oh, his name is Tom. Thank you. It's exactly what I wanted. Extra large is weird.
Oh, sorry about that. Ooh, sorry about that. Yeah, handwritten note, very, very important. That, and if you make a meal, you're good to go. You're golden. This is a crossbow.
Right.
This is Cabela sent this to the man cave. I don't know if there's a target on the bear.
Oh, you're got it.
Yeah.
The bear was in our backyard about 20.
How often did recruits think that you were NC State as opposed to Stanford? Like before you guys, didn't you put the tree into the logo just because they thought you were NC State or Syracuse or, is that true?
Absolutely. I'm not even going to deny it. When we got here with Coach Harbaugh in 2007, I'll never forget it. I was the East Coast guy. I came out of 9 years in the NFL. I had never really been on a recruiting trip, so I got the logo on. I'm going to places, and I walk in, and a guy says, "Hey, NC State's here," and I look like, "No, this is Stanford." And I'm in New Jersey, and they're like, "Hey, is that Syracuse?" I said, "No, it's." So I started wearing the full Stanford across my chest because the logo wasn't doing it. So thankful to Nike, thankful to Bob Bowlesby at the time to really differentiate our logo so that we could actually be recognized. But as we all know, the biggest reason why we started getting recognized, we started winning.
Of course. We had talked to the SEC commissioner, and I said, can you see where maybe not all schools are going to be playing football in the fall, but the SEC continues to play, let's say 12 schools want to play football. Their states allow them to play football. What if Vanderbilt decides it's not going to play, or Northwestern in the Big Ten, or Baylor in the Big 12? Like, it feels like you might have conferences that are going to play football without all their teams. Can you see that happening?
What I can see happening, because everyone that I've talked to, and I'm on multiple committees, conference committees, NCAA committees, everyone I've talked to has said that everyone wants to play football. It's just whether or not it's going to be possible. So that's what a lot of the commissioners are going to have to deal with. And I mentioned earlier, scheduling is going to be fascinating. It all depends if a lot of states stay closed and we get towards training camp, then we have to adjust the schedule so as many teams as possible can play. and then we have to play each other. So I do believe everyone has the intention of playing. I really hope and pray over the next couple of months or so that we have more available rapid diagnostic testing, which is huge, to find out very shortly if someone does have a virus, we can isolate them and keep it from spreading amongst an entire team. So I think that's everyone's intention, is to play some form. And then the biggest issue, which has come up from Bob Bowlesby at the Big 12, from many people at NCAA, we have to have those contingency plans to say, let's say something happens during the season and either one team or multiple teams or all of college football is interrupted. And we have to have a contingency plan for that as well.
Who would make the decision for Stanford to come back and play football?
For me, it's a cascading deal of events, to where state and local governments are going to have a big say on which areas can open and when. Our president and provost at Stanford are going to have their process in place, which has been a lot of meetings about how to reintegrate people onto campus, whether it's a closed campus and stay online, or partially open and partially closed and bring some student backs with social distancing. So a lot of those things have to happen. And then when it comes to actually playing, Dr. Hainline at the NCAA, every conference has its own medical group, consortium, if you will, talking about the process of not just playing a game, but reintegrating a team back together. And the testing is at the forefront, and isolation and all those things that need to have happen as we hopefully continue to push for a vaccine. So there has to be processes in place to get people back together, but at the same time, processes to make sure if someone does contract the virus, they can quickly be found and isolated, to keep it from becoming a team-wide situation. You
look at the running back position now, David. I don't know if it affects how you recruit. College is different than the pros, but how we're utilizing running backs, they're not as valuable now. You don't want to waste a top 10 pick, it feels like, on running backs. But what do you look for in a running back, and how is it different in college than the pros?
So that's a great question, and I don't think it's that different as far as most of the teams go. I agree. You can't waste a top 10 pick on a pure running back. But if that guy gives you versatility, if that gives you what Christian McCaffrey can give you, that be able to catch the ball out of the backfield, be able to run the ball between the tackles and outside, and be a return man, a guy that can play in a lot of snaps and do a lot of different things for you, that guy is now extremely valuable, because now he's your best running back. He's also one of your best receivers. He's a return man. I think what Saquon Barkley gives the Giants, that big play ability where it doesn't have to be, it can be anything. You can toss sweep, an inside run, an outside run, anything can score, and you can catch the ball in the backfield. So the versatility to me is the biggest change in the last, I don't know how many years now. You're looking for that versatile guy. He's extremely dynamic. But if you've got a group of good running backs, now you've just got a good group of running backs. You still win with those guys. But if you've got a difference maker, then that's worth going to get that guy.
Tell me if this is true or not. The first time you saw Christian McCaffrey in high school was not on a football field. It was on a basketball court?
The first time I actually saw him was on campus at Stanford. We were recruiting his older brother, Max, and Ed McCaffrey brought his boys by and met Max, and it was a great conversation with Max. And they brought their younger brother, and I got this steely-eyed stare and this very firm handshake from this young kid. It was one of those deals where I'll never forget. I looked at him, I shook his hand, and I started to look back at Ed, and the handshake was so firm. I looked back at him and kind of like tilted my head like, oh, wow, okay, you're like this now. That's always stuck out to me. I didn't know if he was going to be a good player or not. And then as soon as I saw the film from him, I think the first film we saw was a little bit of his sophomore year. I said, you've got to be kidding me. Like this kid's a sophomore, but he's making people look silly. And then his junior film was off the charts. And then the senior film, of course. So every year the kid has played football. He's been great. And the next year he's been better.
There was no thought, like he was playing running back. If he was coming there, he's playing running back, right?
We said he was playing football because when he played defensive back, he was the best defensive back on the field. He was a punt returner.
Oh, wow.
I still say he's probably the best gunner we've ever had, and I watched him do it in one practice. And I said, there's nobody in America that can stop this guy as a gunner, but we can't play him at gunner. He's got to have the ball in his hands.
Let me see. Oh, let me add the lobster. It's okay.
We have 3 more steaks.
Todd, what did I learn today?
You learned that David Shaw recalls getting a strong handshake from a young Christian McCaffrey on campus, blown away by his high school footage.
What we learned, brought to you by LegalZoom. They make it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan, LegalZoom.com. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be able to do this every day. And to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. We'll talk to you on Monday. Dan and the Dan Patrick Show.